Welcome everybody, it's Ben Rex here and Dale from the YouTube channel A Village of Origins asked me to do a book tour, and so now I will do one for you. Here I brought all the books I have into this room, and let's start chronologically with when I was youngest, before that I will quickly look at this shelf here, because here it's like all the things, how are this called, non-newspapers, like the small ones, and I guess here is also my music stuff or from school and projects I did. And here of these two, I think I will highlight these two comics. Both I bought from people I know from the internet. Shadow of the Conqueror, as you can read it also here. I supported the Kickstarter and then I got the comic, and they wanted to do a movie, but in the end the movie sadly never happened, but I still got the sword and the comic. And then the other one here is Midnight's War. You can find it on Archaven, the comic site as well. Yeah, exactly here. These are the comics. Then there is not much I want to say about this shelf. Next shelf is this one. Here is all my handcrafting stuff, like origami or handcraft or paper planes or how to draw stuff. This is in French. I was with my family in France for holidays or vacation, and then there I bought that. This one is also drawing. And then there are other things here, for example microscopy. How to do microscopy. I have a microscope right here. Here it's my microscope. I rarely use it, but sometimes I do. I enjoy doing it. I just lack creativity and endurance in doing it. Then here are like experiments or other experiments, and then also some books, for example about experiments that scientists didn't, experiments I can do as a child. Here, quantum theory. I didn't read that. I got that as a Christmas present, and I haven't gone around reading it. Here, this one I read about the Higgs boson article. Then what is this? Yeah, Sudoku. My aunt works at the kiosk, and then she sometimes gifts me Sudoku, which I rarely do. Then here are, this I bought somewhat recently or a few years ago. It's about Lego building, how you can build with Lego, like with the like just stuff which isn't coming in a set. And I find it interesting how the architecture is done in Lego. I don't have any Legos in the house at the moment, at least, but still perhaps I can apply some of these ideas in Minecraft builds or whatever. At least that's why I bought them. And then here is about national parks in Switzerland. It's where it's basically where you can stay the night here. Unterkunft means where you can stay, and then where you can eat and where you can read about stuff from there, which paths you can take, and then a bit of describing what you can see there and do there. Yeah. Then Here is animals and plants in the Alps. Here is a book from Bear Grylls, how to basically a survival book on tips how to survive. Yeah, that's about. Oh no, here this one is a fun one. If you remember those patterns, if you first look at it and then change your focus away from it. I think it won't work on the screen through this camera, but then if you focus away from it, then your right eye sees, for example, this pattern here, and your left eye sees this pattern here. They are made in a way that they are slightly different, and then you see some three-dimensional patterns popping out. Here it's described. Oh, of course it's in German, but yeah, you have to look at it cross-eyed, and then you can see three-dimensional objects like this in these patterns. I was never good at it. I managed to do it with some of them, but not with all of them. So now next stage is more of this. I don't remember how it's called. If you have a book which is mostly about the images, but also texts which describe what happens in the images. This one is about Swiss villages and small cities or towns. In Switzerland we don't have city and town as separate words, and usually I have it at the toilet, and then when I'm sitting at the toilet I just read about one village, and then slowly I get through it, but for this tour I put it here. Then this one is about the Alps, the rock formation, and yeah, also with text in it. The next one is about big cats. Here is about Terra Maxima, that's just about Earth, generally landscapes in the Earth, and this one here is about insects. Then next one, these are mostly about the pictures, but with image in focus, with text describing it. Then here is books about Africa. I got that from an old neighbor from my parents when they were living, and yeah, it's here, for example, it's yeah, just all the animals, where they live here in the rainforest, in the swamp, savanna, zone between the two, and then tree savanna, I don't know how it's called. You can see it with the pictures here, what type of landscape, which animal lives, and stuff like this. Yeah, I have not read through those books, but I have, as a child, often looked into them. Then here about space. This one here is old enough that the pictures are actually glued into it instead of printed. And you see it's here somewhere. Yeah, as you can see, here this is actually glued into it. So I don't remember where I got that, but yeah, for some reason it ended up at my place. Here in Switzerland they have zoos, of course, here, and one of them recreated the jungle in Madagascar, and or at least a small section of it, and this is here is where they built it. And when I went there, they also sold a book on which animals live there, how they built it, and stuff like, and which plants and stuff like this. Then here, lexica on everything that I want to know in German for children. Here, inventions and discoveries. Lexica for adults. Then how everything works, as you can see, vacuuming, how this works, or streets, or communication, or key locks, and everything you can imagine. Then another lexica about everything possible, but this one has a website to it, or at least had at one point. This is a lexica about animals. Then here, Polar Expedition. This is illustrated and easy to read. Knights and Castles. This one is only castles. This one is secrets, like pyramids, universe, deep sea, prehistory and ancient civilization. I never really got into that. It felt too much like conspiracy theory, even though I think they didn't really go into any. Then here, about nature, with, as you can see here, just rich landscapes with animals and stuff. Then here, those three are basically the same, just for younger audiences. This is Anatomy of Humans. They are quite big. They don't fit the screen. Then natural forces like floods and climate change, droughts, avalanches, and stuff like this. And animals in their caves. It's done for children, or teenagers. Here with all the animals. This is rainforest, certain animals, or bisons, that's in America and stuff like this. So next is probably over here. Here are teens novels, and like children or teenagers who go on an adventure. And same with here. This is also for teenagers novels. And then here, in my exchange semester in Finland, I bought that one. It's about just comics with interesting cultural things in a humorous way, written in a humorous way. Then here, the entire thing is same author. Here, 2 rows. It's not complete, but it's about Karl May is a famous German, or in German-speaking world, it's a famous author about Western travel notes, I think, translated literally. But it's fictional. This guy never left Germany, but he had around 70 books of how he imagined it would be to do adventures Western style in America, and half of the books are also in the Orient, so Turkey and Arabia and stuff like this. And then next one here is fantasy. Let's start here. It's just some random fantasy. Watership Down is probably everybody knows that who speaks English. Settlers of Catan is actually a not a card game, a board game. But the author the inventor of the game found a historian novelist Rebecca Kable, and then together they wrote basically the story which leads up to the book and to the game, and I really love it. It's done very well. So it's a lot of Viking culture is in there, but also the conflict, what happens, like the change in power dynamics when you leave your old coast and get to a new island, and suddenly traditional power structures don't mean much anymore, but new ones mean something. And also there is a Christian monk, while the rest has the Viking religion. And then there is also a power struggle when it comes to religion as well. So it's very interestingly done. I can highly recommend it. Then here all my Lord of the Rings books, or Silmarillion, Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Children of Hurin. This is not Lord of the Rings, but also from Tolkien. This is actually a children's story, not Hobbit isn't, in my opinion. Yeah, but this is only vaguely related to Middle-earth. And this one here is a lifestyle or marriage advice on how to basically create a dominion in your house which is separate from nature or separate from society, and it is basically shows how you can do it based on Tom Bombadil from Lord of the Rings. I found it a really interesting book and something worth aspiring to. Then here are historical novels to more or less historical accuracy. Those to the right I haven't read. Yeah, nothing much to say here. Then the Hunger Games, these three. If you speak German, if you speak German, I can highly recommend these three. Just never look at any description of what they are about. On the second book or the third books, there is a heavy spoiler on the first book, so yeah, I read it and I was annoyed. Even though I'm usually don't mind spoilers. And it's basically near future after a short ice age, and where some part of society survived in high technology glass domes, while the rest of society was basically barbarians living in the ice age out there as hunter-gatherers. And then some promising students from the domes were suddenly persecuted without them knowing why, and then they had to live with the barbarians because they had to flee. And then, yeah, basically the entire story is about them living there and finding out what happened. This also very interesting concept, great idea. The end is rushed, basically. Some students grew up in a protected camp, like internet. Not internet. Yeah, just the schools where you live at, it's similar to that, but more forced. And they don't know why, and it's strange why they do learn certain things and just don't learn certain other things. And then over the course of the book, they find out. It's a very interesting concept, but yeah, also I think only in German, I'm not sure. The Martianer, I don't know how it's in English. That's pretty popular. I think it's a simple read, simpler than most books. This is from Damaris Kaufman. It's a Christian Christian person who writes a lot about biographies of people who, for example, criminals who came to Jesus. And this one is fantasy, her first fantasy trilogy. Then here, Shadow of the Conqueror, the actual book, not just the novel. Then The Missionaries and Promethean is short stories, basically. These are high science fiction, so very abstract, but greatly written. Then here, David Baldacci's like Secret Agents of America, like a bit of Secret Service and FBI and stuff like this. These are all similar concept except this one. This is House of Leaves. I think that's worth showing here separately. The idea is interesting because the author thought, why do we have to read from the front to the back in the book? Can't we be a bit more creative with it? And then he had basically a recursive story, which is also tries to be a bit horror and stuff like this. And then he also tries to do it represented with the font as well, which is very interesting. Great idea. In my opinion, it lacks in story. The main character is not really interesting or appealing. Let's say appealing is better. And the horror part is the things which should be horror is not really horror, not really scary at all. So idea is great. Implementation is the implementation of the font is also great, but the story is lacking. And now here biographies, different ones. This one is of a woman who got abused by both her parents, and how she dealt with it. The last closet. This is, I think, from Africa. Yeah, a lot of theirs are Christian biographies. This one is not really a biography. It's a while since I read that. Here also, this one is in German-speaking countries. Samuel Koch is really famous because they have a Wetten das, or basically this is a TV show which is about a bet I can't. Bet I can is translated to English. Basically, this guy here wanted to do a double black flip over a driving car, and then in TV live, and then something went wrong, and his back broke, and now he is in the wheelchair, and it's of course something like this goes all over news, but it's only in the German-speaking world. And this is the biography of him, and he's a Christian. And recently a friend of his also had a similar experience. He got cancer, also a Christian, and it also went through the German news. Philipp Mickenbacher, I have not seen anything in English, even though I looked. So perhaps the new movie which came out about him is in English. But this is about women, Christian women, some Buddhist thing, Buddhist came Christian, God on Earth. I don't remember specifically what it is about. Oh, this one is a famous picture, the history or the biography of this woman here in this picture in the Vietnam War. She's also Christian. Don't remember. This is about Christian, about the Swiss pastor. This one is about game your life, so like playing, how to play your life. It's this guy here, Nader Stöcklin, has a theory of how education should be done, and this is his book on how it is, how he imagines it. I think it's great for personal, for your personal life, but I wouldn't implement it in society. Leave the cow in the village, or the challenges of sustaining agriculture in Switzerland. And this is a guy who just noticed all the problems with Swiss farming, and he tried to give everybody's position a voice. So he doesn't reach any conclusions. He just tries to talk with everybody and get every position you can on this topic. Then here, first I found this. This is these are all not available in English, but they are about historical novels on a region of Switzerland. And this one is about a small mountain village, the last citizens there, and I stayed at that village, which is now a hotel. So it's quite interesting to read a book about the region you visited. This one is about some mountaineer who climbed all the mountains in a region I know quite well. This one is a gift of somebody I know. And yeah, then this one is two-part. Before, over here, I said there are fictional travel notes or travel novels. This one is an actual travel novel from a guy who traveled around the world 100 years ago. So here, just a few things I have from school. Oh, here's something I can show you as well. Wait a second. So, this one can float. I built that at school. Then here are ships. I love to collect stones and and also shells, for example. I did that for a while. But then here are all the things like cooking books. Here are printed stuff like I found on the internet, papers, and I printed it out to read because I prefer reading with a book in my hand. This is of a slave from America. Yeah, and this is from Mendel and stuff like this. Yeah. Then here, I won't show them close. I won't open them because most of them have my name written in it. But it's about science, automation, electrical stuff. Then drawing. Oh, here I can show this type of stuff. Yeah, it's all my education. Then here analog circuits. It's a very complex book. English, history of Switzerland, and this one is also a gift from a friend of mine about anarchy. Then here, a lot of Christian books like Bibles, stuff which helps you read through the Bible. I don't remember if I read that one, but this one here is very famous. I have no clue how it's called in English. The Pilgrimage, perhaps? I don't know. It's very famous. And very famous among Christians in a certain age range. Forget what it's about. This is about... this one is about introverts, and she is not only introvert, the author is also hypersensitive, so she's overwhelmed very easily. And yeah, she's how she wrote the book how to basically contribute to church as somebody like this, or generally how to live out. And yeah, here are some teen stuff about Christianity. Then here, let's start, since we're from Christianity, let's start from the right, Stairway to Life. This is two scientists, and they wrote about difficulties in abiogenesis, and this here is I hope I didn't shake too much. This is basically those are all steps which have to be solved before a cell can be created out of chemistry. And those are just some of them, but very difficult ones, and I think none of these have even been addressed in any way at all. And yeah, currently, as far as I'm aware, they are still on the creating chemical reactions that create amino acids in some way. And then here, creation and evolution. I don't remember. I have a few similar ones, so I don't remember which talks about which. Here is another one of these. I think this one is the best of these because it's has many sources in it, and it's an overview on the history on the topic, and it's very neutral in my opinion. It's objective. Here's the flood and geology, stuff like this. Questions on the beginning, creation, evolution, and intelligent design. Yeah, some of them are pretty old, so yeah. As current scientists, current creationists have better arguments, and some of these topics here are debunked, or some of them aren't, as far as I'm aware. So here, hidden in plain view is about gospel and the Acts, and it's basically just one specific argument, and that's undesigned coincidences. An undesigned coincidence is when somebody tells a story of what happened and just hints at one event which happened there, and then somebody else talks about the same event and also hints at that event, but in a different way, and both just hint at it because they don't really care that much about that event, but they still mention it because they were there. And then if those both hints align, then you can craft a fuller story of that side event. And since both hint at the same event and it's compatible, that also makes is an indication that they were actually eyewitnesses and not just some random person who heard the story. And that's basically a full book about things like this in the Gospels. And then here, it's generally a topic about liberating the Gospels from literary devices. Literary device is basically, for example, if I tell a story and I don't sort it chronologically, but I sort it because of, for example, things which were more relevant, or I group together those things which were with the same person, then that isn't really, if you then say, look, it should have been chronological because it is not chronological, therefore it's a contradiction. That's wrong, because somebody used a literary device to or the literary device of achronologically, or whatever it's called, and some and this one here is basically just this example I brought is basically you are fully accurate, you just don't really everything you say or intend to say is completely accurate, but it just isn't like a perfect chronological full description. And then there are also literary devices which bring in symbology or theology, and in this book she argues that this so you deviate from the truth which happened. For example, you invent a third person so that you can bring in a symbolical point. And she argues in that book that the gospel writers didn't do this fictional literary devices. And here, and in The Eye of the Beholder, she defends the Gospel of John as a historical reportage. And if you have endurance in reading, I can recommend this. And if you are a layman in reading, I can recommend this. Then this one here is about Native American symbols, how they can be used to tell the Gospels. Here, I got it from a missionary who my parents know. And then next, what do I have? History of Jihad. Yeah, this is about jihad from the time of Muhammad all the way to today. And basically there is not a single century where there wasn't jihad. Then Before Us is about children, how we should, about children's rights basically, and how our current system is set up according to the parents' rights and not the children's rights. Here about insects and birds, like local birds, local insects. What's that? Flowers. Why are they all on their head? And yeah, here Ship of Fools is about evolutionary psychology from the point of view of an anthropologist. He isn't a fan of it, to be short. This one is about wolves, basically. A woman who loves wolves wrote the book. This is about a guy who studied tree, and he said what trees do in a forest and why we should treat them a bit more nicely. And in my opinion, he humanizes the trees a bit, but as far as I'm aware, everything that is that he declares as fact is actually fact. So it's just like, for the popular level, you can't just bring the facts, you have to make a story out of it. That's my opinion of the book. Here, The World Without Us, this journalist assumed from this point onwards, every human just disappears. What would happen with our civilization? What would stay for how long? And it is very well researched in various fields. Like, for example, he even looked at how soil would change over time and stuff like this. Yeah. The first 5,000 years. It's about economy, but the historical and anthropological look at it, and how debt, how societies worked on debt instead of money. And then here, the world of bacteria. Very interesting book about bacteria, how they work, what they do, and stuff. Then here about the deep sea, how it got explored and what they found. Then here, Time Traveler's Guide to Medieval England. It's a lot of things from 1400 England. Have I finished this? Yeah, I have finished this bookshelf. Now to the last few bookshelves here. Most of them I haven't read. They are recently bought. This is The Core of Humans is good. I've heard that people say that. I have and recommended that book. I have bought it, but not read it. Here, this one and this one, I asked the guy about how to fitness works, and then he recommended these books, but I haven't come around reading it. This is a Finnish children's book. This is John Chrysostom's Homilies on Marriage and Family Life. This is Plant and Waters. It is it's a lexicon. Basically it's a sum. Each chapter is written by a different scientist, and the book. The interesting part about the book is, so for one, it's very in-depth, but also, as you can see, with the thickness of it. But also, it was written in 1965. No, 56, and yeah, that means computers weren't the thing yet. Microscopes, and I think even electron microscopes were a thing, but not computers. Here, Christian books, How to Be a Man and Faith with Heart, Live with a Purpose. Then he has Moody Handbook of Theology. I wanted to buy a different one, but accidentally bought this one. But yeah, and then everything about crucifixion from Martin Hengel. And now, no, not yet. Let's put that down here. This one is The First Farmers of Europe. It's with statistics and stuff like this. Yeah, it's a proper book on this topic. Then the Gospels come with a house key. I wanted to read it because I think hospitality is something important. And I also think it's a Christian thing. It's just I do it too little at the moment. This is a very famous book. Many people have recommended it. I have bought it but not read it yet. I'm in the process of reading this book, The First Seven Ecumenical Councils. Basically the Council of Nicaea. What everybody thinks has been said there is pretty wrong and non-historical. They never did talk about the Bible there. They talked about the date of Easter and deity, how Jesus as a deity relates to God the Father, stuff like this. And then here, Fuchs's Book of Martyrs, that I read through it, but because I had it in the trade all the time, all the gold font got ripped away. So yeah, here, it's the name. So everything which was golden is gone. I think it wasn't real gold. And now, here is just folklore of various different countries. This is Buddhist ones. I have not read that. Swiss ones. How are these called? Zigeuner, a gypsy. I don't know. Then Russian ones. Japan, China. What is this? Brother Grimm's. Then Inca or Native Americans. And then 1001 Nights. As you can see, I want to get more into history of what makes a culture. I want to get more into it, but for that I have to read more. This is various things from Swiss history. This one, Cambridge medieval history, is one I have from the Castelia house. I have a subscription, and there one of them is the history subscription, and I'm subscribed to that. And here is the landmark theatres of national. I don't know. Don't want to say it, but yeah, history books. They are great, but I have not come around reading them yet. And now the last bookshelf. Here, Junior Classics. 8 out of 10 are already printed and delivered. Last two. Also, this is also from Castelia House, as you can see. Castelia Library. I'm currently in this one, reading this one. These I have read, of course, and these I haven't. And they basically just take everything that a junior or a teen should know about Western history. And here are fairy tales and fables, myths and legends. Here is from Greek and Rome. Here is also, for example, from Finland, legends. King Arthur and his people. Then Robinson Crusoe is in this one, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I have not read through these yet. And here is the works of Shakespeare. I have not read it. I have not bought them. They were just, some guy was dumping them on the street, and you could take whatever you want. And I just saw them there, and I thought, let's just take them. If I never read them, then who cares? They just took a bit of space. But yeah, this is my entire book collection. I hope you enjoyed it. I have some digital books, and I have a big list of books which I want to buy, but it's not yet bought, and sadly not everything I own is read. So yeah. And now goodbye, I guess.